Today is Thursday, May 21st. This is our read aloud for Out of My Mind. We left off in a very troubling situation in which Penny is now in the hospital and we're unaware of how she's doing. Melody was just communicating with Mrs. V about some of her concerns, and how she finished off the last time was rather sad because she said she referenced two broken kids, meaning that she feels like herself is broken, having cerebral palsy, and now Penny, her sister, is in the hospital. And Mrs. V is trying to convince her that no, you're not broken, and neither is Penny. My whole world would fall apart if something happened to you. Your parents as well. I'm not sure I believed her. I tilted my head. Really? I typed. I plan to wear purple to your college graduation. Far away and very hard. Like making the quiz team? They left me. And they lost. I glanced out of her large picture window and watched the wet branches sway. How could I say it? I looked back at my talker and typed very slowly. I want to be like other kids. So you want to be mean and thoughtless? I looked up at her angry face, then looked away. No, normal. Normal is terrible, she roared. People love you because you're Melody, not because of what you can and cannot do. Give us a little credit. I want it to be yesterday, I typed. Yesterday your heart was broken because they left you behind, remember? Rather have that than this. I know. Oh, Melody, I know. I'm scared. Me too. The silent room echoed our thoughts. I had a goldfish. He jumped out of his bowl, I typed then. I remember your mom telling me about that. Tried to save him. Couldn't. The phone rang then, startling both of us. I jerked in my chair. Mrs. V picked it up. Yes, she said. I strained to listen. Oh no, she said. My heart dropped beneath my chair. She listened for a long time. Oh yes, she said finally. Then she burst into tears and hung up. Is Penny dead? I typed. The world was spinning. Mrs. V wiped her eyes, looked at me, and took a deep breath. She has some internal injuries, a badly broken bone, badly broken leg, but she survived the surgery. She's gonna live. Then she cried once more. Chapter 32. It's Monday, so I have to return to school today. The temperature has dropped and the sun is glowing like some kind of frosted golden jewel. Yet everything feels different and not quite right. Mom spent the weekend at the hospital with Penny, sleeping on a cot in her room. I have not seen her since, well, since everything changed. I wonder if Mom is mad at me. Mrs. V comes over and helps me get dressed and fed. Even Butterscotch seems to miss Penny. She puts her head in my lap and looks at me with lonely eyes. I can't help her. Dad is a mess. He keeps dropping things like forks and keys. He starts to talk, then forgets what he was going to say. He hasn't even shaved. Go and get yourself together, Chuck, Mrs. V finally tells him. A hot shower and cold glass of orange juice will do you wonders. When you go see Penny this morning, you don't want to scare the child, do you? Oh, you're right, Dad replies. You've got Melody covered? I'll see. She gets on the bus. Now scoot! He bounds up the stairs to the bathroom. Penny better? I tap on my board. Yes, oh yes. When I spoke to your mom this morning, she told me that they have taken her off the IV already. Penny was eating applesauce, complaining about her cast, and asking for doodle, which I've got cleaned up and ready for her. Penny is going to be fine, Melody. Just fine. I inhaled deeply. Mrs. V spoons eggs into my mouth, but my stomach roils with worry. Her leg? I ask. Her leg is in a cast. It's big and clunky and will annoy the heck out of her, but the doctors have said that when she gets stronger, she'll even be able to walk with it. I'm glad Mrs. V is always straight up with me. Wheelchair? I can't think of anything worse than a teeny baby wheelchair. No, they want her to move around as much as possible. I breathe a sigh of relief. Her head? I ask. Mrs. V understands. No brain damage, Melody. None. I exhale slowly. You sure? I spell out. Absolutely. I saw her myself last night. She bumped her head when she fell, but the car hit her leg. It didn't touch her head at all. The school bus honks then, so Mrs. V wheels me out the drive to meet it. She checks my backpack, adjusts my foot straps, and gives me a big hug. You ready, Melody? Ready to face the quiz team? I nod. After what had almost happened, facing a bunch of snotty fifth graders will be easy. Gus looks at me with concern as he lowers the bus lift. How's your little sister? He asks me. That is so scary. Gonna be okay, I type. Thanks. I realize right then that news like that travels fast. Everybody at school probably know as well. Gus wheels me onto the lift and pushes the button to raise it as I wave goodbye to Mrs. V. The ride to school is strangely quiet. None of the usual squeaks and grunts from the students who ride the special bus. When we get to school, the air is chilly, so the aides take us directly to room H5. As we get settled, I look at my friends there through different eyes. Freddie, who wants to zoom to the moon. Ashley, our fashion model. Willie, the baseball expert. Maria, who has no enemies. Gloria, the music lover. Carl, our resident gourmet. Jill, who might have once been like Penny. Not one of them even knows how to be mean. And me, the dreamer who tries to escape room H5, a kid with a computer named Elvira. I don't even know where I belong anymore. Catherine comes in then, wearing a new outfit that is actually cute and stylish. Tan slacks, black sweater, and a vest. Nice outfit, I tell her. Thanks, and I did it all by myself. I have something for you, I point to my book bag. She reaches into my bag, digs around, and finds the card that almost led to tragedy. After she reads it, she blinks back tears. No, Melody, thank you. She leans over and hugs me. Then she looks serious and says, Mrs. Valencia called and told me all about what happened with your little sister. How's she doing? Better, I type. You know, you probably saved her life, Catherine tells me. What? Seriously, your screaming and yelling slowed your mother down, gave her time to figure out why you were acting like you had hot potatoes in your pants. Could not stop Mom. I stab out on my machine. You did exactly the right thing. I'm so proud of you. Really? Really? Especially after all you had been through at the airport. You want to talk about it? No, I type and look away. Maria comes over to my chair and gives me a big hug. You did good, Melly Belly, she says. Real good. I'm not sure if she is talking about the quiz team or something else, but my eyes get all drippy and my nose starts to run. I wish I could give her a big squeeze back to let her know how good she has made me feel, but I just tap thanks. I'm never sure how much Freddie is aware of what's going on in the world around him, so he surprises me when he zips over to me and asks, Millie go zoomin' plane? He looks excited, maybe even envious. No, Freddie, I type. No plane, no Zoom. His face scrunches up into sadness, then he drives away. Mrs. Shannon comes over next and squats beside me. Your head must be near about ready to explode from all that's happened in the past few days. Boom, I type, but I don't feel like smiling. Let's talk at lunch, okay, Melody? Okay. Are you going to your inclusion classes? She asks. Yes, I tap. I thought about it all this weekend when I wasn't thinking about Penny. I decided I wasn't going to hide. I want you to know I'm very proud of you. She gives me a big thumbs up and then gets our morning routine going. As it turns out, Miss Gordon is absent today, so the first inclusion class I'm set to attend is Mr. Dimmings. Are you sure you want to go? Catherine asks me. Instead of answering, I power my chair toward Mr. D's door. Catherine rests a hand on my shoulder as I whir in.